funders quicker, number one, and number two, people related to it much more. But we have other projects sort of in the pipeline, targeting NEET, not in education, employment or training category of people, asylum seekers, university students, college students, freshers weeks, things like that. We have all those things in the pipeline. Training sessions for example, professionals, wealthy people, targeting private school children as well. We've got sort of demand, lots of phone calls from the independent schools to do bespoke workshops about budgeting, for example.
And can I ask you a question, right? Is it okay if we just interrupt along the way? Is that okay? You said it started in 2006. What was it that made you start it?
Well, what made I had colleagues, obviously, in the financial sector, and I always did ask them, as a fundraiser myself, I'm a fundraising consultant for my day job, independently to the Deaf Doctors Foundation, because I'm a trustee, only a trustee. I used to ask them, what do they do? They have all these big services. What do they do to give something back? And they couldn't really answer anything tangible. As friends, I kept asking them the same questions. So it was an article I read in the paper about GPs noticing lots of people suffering sort of symptoms, depression, high blood pressure, mental illness, and when they get down to the nitty-gritty with their patients, they find out it's money problems. That was before the recession took its toll. So that's where the idea came in anyway. And so death advice, stroke money education sort of worked in tandem as the idea developed. And so it just came at the right time, really, looking at being prescriptive as well as preventative. A mix of that way, so we can nip the problem in the bud, working with children, and sort of working with them to be more responsible with money, and having ideas about saving and investing, and being careful with credit cards, for example, as opposed to sort of just putting a bandage on what's happened already with people already in problems. So that's where it came from, really, and it's taking different roads at the moment because different arms are being developed at the same time. But again, our main flourishing project is the Children's Money Education Project.
What's your vision for that then?
Our main vision for that, we did a pilot study last year, very small pilot and very good feedback. Our main vision for that is to, for example, this year till April next year, to be London-wide. So right now we're trying to get schools scheduled, starting from now until next year, to let us come in and give these little talks. They're only 30 minutes, by the way, because they're young, it's primary school. And then in 2010 to around 2011, we tend to be more regional and go out, and then eventually to be UK-wide. So we want to just get that culture of sort of getting the message across to children
and
that they need to be
talk about debt situations and money management.
When you talk about going into London first, do you have certain areas or certain types or groups that you're particularly targeting first? So do you have a target sort of demographic that you're targeting at first? Different types of schools, different types of areas, based upon the needs as you know them?
Yeah, it's mainly West London, just due to the logistics of it, of getting around, because obviously we're only a very small charity. So in order for us to get from A to B, then obviously West London, because we're based in Hammersmith, means that we can move around quite easily.
Okay.
But yeah, from doing that, we've noticed it's quite infectious, and basically one school will tie another school, and it does literally branch out like that. So we've gone from Hammersmith to Kensington, and I don't know if you know London, but then it goes on and on and on. And we've been sort of inundated with courses we've already mentioned from like independent schools now, so a lot of private schools looking to sort of get involved and literally, front the cash as well and say, look, how much does it cost to sort of get you guys on board? And it's like, well, we're not a consultancy such as, where it work like that. However, obviously we'll take details and get back to you so we can sort of give it some structure.
And just by the way, we're on the way to getting funding from Experian to run it London-wide anyway. I don't know if you know that.
No. You mentioned it was primary schools.
Primary schools to start off with, and now we're actually getting into secondary.
Okay. Could you just explain a little bit more about why that was the kind of initial focus, primary rather than secondary?
Because number one, it was, when I thought of the idea, it was cradle, starting, nipping it in the bud, starting from the cradle. obviously the 0 ones won't count, you know. So we started with the 3-year-olds, 3, 4, 5, going upwards, key stage 1, key stage 2. Number 2, it was quite easier to approach the primary schools. Number 3, the materials, because they were targeted as simple, it was easier again to prepare materials to actually go into the schools and work with the schools to produce something very simple but effective. So it's PowerPoint, all technology oriented. We're writing a series of books at the moment targeting 0 to 5-year-olds. This is the first draft. There are 10 of them. The Money Penny Family Children series. The Money Box, and quite a few little, and it's just simple pictures. I can't leave this with you, but I can pass it around. And it's just a simple message really. She lost her money box. She had a birthday party, lost her money box, couldn't find it. It was in her brother's toy box, and then they found a safer place to put it. So the message there is keep money safe, really, and you know, so just simple messages for young children. Secondary school is more intense, and we plan to do like budgeting and bring in a bit of enterprise as well, because you know they're that age now, they want to earn their own money or know how to do so. Again, you mentioned your daughter has a debit card. You know, they get these things early, and if they can use them, fine. My daughter writes. She does online writing for a website. She's on PayPal. She gets paid from an American sort of company. So, you know, they can be quite industrious. If you can get them busy and thinking and using their time effectively, that's another way of dealing with other issues to do with children. Not having anything to do with things like that.
Going back to the actual service itself, it's a 30-minute discussion you mentioned. So what happens in that 30-minute discussion? You go to a school, you deliver a service, so what is it?
Right, 30 minutes, we know that the children attention span is very small, very, very short. So we go in with a simple PowerPoint presentation, asking them what is money, simple questions, but they come back with all sorts. What is money? What do we use money for? What's the best way to keep money? Where do you save it? You know, we may get them to calculate some interest. You know, if you have £10 and you're going to have interest on this, how much would you get at the